Hello and welcome back to the football rundown here. We're going to discuss Stockport County's day take on Walsall in League 2 tomorrow. We're going to start by talking about the manager. He's come out and said here that he's never seen an injury situation like it in his career before as a manager. Is he making excuses ahead of the game against Walsall, or is he, making valid points? Is he right to be concerned with the injury situation we've got going on at the football club at the moment? It feels to me like he's making a call towards the ownership to get more done in the transfer window, because he's talking about the fact that a lot of young players will be involved on the bench tomorrow, players who lack experience in League 2, and if you want to compete and there's a pressure at Stockport County to win, then we've got to have more depth in the squad. I think he is right, but is he making a call to the board to try and get more business in? Because he talks about the fact that we've got players who won't be back from injury until maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks at earliest. Is this a call to the board to get players in so they can ultimately try and get promotion this season? I want to get people's thoughts on it, but we are going to be obviously talking about Stockport versus Walsall, and we've got some bits of information which we're going to delve into before we talk about Dave Chandler's comments. So, of course, Stockport County are top of the table, League 2 table, top by 2 points. Of course, Mansfield losing last week has done us a massive favour, because they could potentially go ahead of us if they win their game in hand still. But if they lose that and Stockport County continue to get results on the board, we can, it's getting close to being back in our hands again, which is where we want it to be. Results haven't been great over the last few weeks. We've had a bit of a break over the last few weeks as well. But I think we've got to turn it around over the next few weeks. We've got some easier games coming up again, but then I thought that with the game that we had against Bradford, I thought that would be an easier game, and that was, we drew that 1-0 away from home. So easier games are sometimes more difficult games, and sometimes top of the table teams are probably easier games for us, because we understand the pressure more, and maybe sometimes we get a little bit complacent against teams we should be beating. I mean, Wrexham, we beat 5-0. Notts County we've beaten. Okay, Mansfield's a top team. We've lost to twice this season, but we have generally done better against a lot of the top teams this season. And it looks like sometimes the teams at the bottom, the easier games, we have struggled with. And I do think this will be a difficult game against Walsall tomorrow. I think it'll be a lot tougher than people probably realise it'll be. So like I say, Stockport County top of the table. Walsall currently sat in 13th place, 18 points from relegation, 3 points from the playoffs, I think. They've won 4 of the last 5 league games in League 2, along with Tranmere, MK Dons, Wrexham, who of course have all won 4 of the last 5 and lost just once. So they all share that record in League 2 of the last few games. They're very much in form, Walsall, and like I say, this will be a tougher game, I think, than people maybe expected it to be. In my experience, whenever we've gone up against Walsall, they're a nasty team to play against, and they do have a pretty good record against us over the last few meetings. Just before we go into the head-to-head over the last few games against Walsall, it's important to mention that they've just put 6 past Grimsby. I think they won 6-1 in the last game in League 2. Before that, they also beat Wrexham at home 3-1. So they're a team that are really in form at the moment, and like I say, they're beating teams like Wrexham, who are there or thereabouts at the top of the table. So this is a concern for Stockport County going into this game. So the head-to-head record then in recent times between Walsall and Stockport County. Walsall have 2 wins, a draw, and just the 1 defeat in the last 4 meetings with Stockport County. They beat County, of course, earlier in the season, 2-1 at the Bescot. Walsall also won at Edgley Park last season in the FA Cup, 3rd round, at 2-1 at Edgley Park to Walsall that day. It was a very frustrating game. I felt that Stockport County probably should have got over the line in that game, and of course, I felt like Walsall were very over physical in that game, if my memory serves me correct. But look, they went through, and that's the FA Cup, isn't it? We didn't do well this season in the FA Cup. But my experience of Walsall when I've seen them play is they're difficult, nasty teams to play against. They can be overly aggressive at times, but at least they get stuck in, and I think they will get stuck in against us tomorrow. I don't think they'll fear us at all, and I think it's down to us to make sure that we keep the ball well and we use it well when we do have it. And because, as I say, they will look to try and get at us. They won't be scared of us, I don't think. I think that's generally how Walsall play. They like to get stuck in, and maybe they can play a bit as well. I want to get Walsall fans' opinions on this. Am I being unfair on Walsall to say they're just a team who gets stuck in? Or can they play a little bit? I want to get people's thoughts on that. So like I say, results haven't been great in the last few weeks for Stockport County. If we go over the results since, of course, beating Sutton 8-0 at Edgley Park, Stockport went on to win 2-1 against Notts County, but then drew on Boxing Day with AFC Barrow. Of course, then sitting through a 0-0 dull draw at Bradford away from home, and then, of course, losing 2-0 to Mansfield on New Year's Day. So in the last few games, we've taken 2 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat, and 8 points from a possible 15. Is that really good enough? It's not as bad as it looks. It's not as bad as it feels, certainly. I mean, I've sat through a lot of them games and just thought County are not performing to the level that I think we should be expecting from a team that's, fighting for promotion, fighting for the title. And I have to say, 8 points from a possible 15, it's not terrible, but it's also not title-winning form. And I do think that over the next few weeks, we've got to try and get more points on the board. I think the performances have probably been worse than the results, though. I think that's probably what it is. When you're watching the games and we haven't been playing great, it gives you a bad feeling. And what I want to see, particularly tomorrow as well, I want to see a County team that goes out and performs, but Walsall will make it difficult for us. And it's just, whether or not we can play through that. I do think they'll make it really difficult. And I just want to see Stockport County get back to playing good football again. Beginning the season when we had Tanto Alafi and Lou Barry up front, we were scoring goals for fun. We looked free-flowing. We don't seem to be that team anymore. I get Louis Barry's out injured, but it looks like even Tanto Alafi, it looks like we're not playing to his strengths anymore. So I want to see County start playing football and start playing more, worrying about how we're going to play rather than how the opposition are going to play. Like I said at the beginning, Dave Challoner has been making some comments recently which potentially give him an out tomorrow, in terms of if we face a bad result. But I think he's just been honest. I think he's always honest, and I think he's been asked if he's confident with what he's got available to him tomorrow, and he said that there's definitely more than enough to get a result. But as I say, he spoke about the squad issue, squad depth being an issue, and I think he's valid point. We've had a lot of injuries this season, which hasn't helped us at all. There's no getting away from that, and obviously we've seen since likes of Sarcevic and Collar about been out injured in particular. Of course, Louis Barry as well, just to mention a few. We have struggled for results. Salvin Hales, Southern Hales is a big miss for us as well. So there's a lot of injuries, and not just injuries, but injuries to key players. So I understand that, and I do think he's obviously trying to get new players in. I think he's also said that quite a few of the targets that we might have had for January have also decided to move on and go to maybe League One clubs instead. So that's making it more difficult. I do believe County are currently in the conversation of maybe taking Charlie Savage on loan as well. I think he's at Reading at the moment. Of course, I've seen him play for Manchester United before as well. He looks like a good player. Good player, gets stuck in, but he can also play a little bit as well. I remember seeing bits of him for Manchester United's academy. I remember him and Zidane Iqbal had a really good partnership in midfield together. I think he would be a good character, a good personality, a good player to bring into County on loan till the end of the season. It's whether or not we can do that deal. I think Derby County may also be interested as well. Of course, they're League One. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. That's just one example of a player that Dave Challoner may want to bring in before the window shuts. Of course, we're also getting closer to the expiry of Joe White, of course, who's been linked with a move from Newcastle on loan to the end of the season. Of course, his loan deal with Crewe finishes this weekend, so maybe we'll hear news on that early next week. But as I say, Dave Challoner wants bodies in, and he's hoping he can get bodies in. But it definitely feels to me like he's putting pressure on the board, the people higher up, to try and get players in, and that's fair enough. But is he making excuses? Should he have, with what he's got available, should he have enough to get better results and better performances than what we've had over the last month or so? I want to get people's thoughts on that. He said, talking about Ethan Pye, he's talking about the injuries here. Ethan Pye expected to be out for around 8 to 10 weeks, so that's a massive loss for us. Kyle Noyle, of course, suffered a concussion, broken nose and fractured cheekbone. Concussion symptoms are the main issue. No current idea on timescales. Dave Challoner says, never seen anything like current injury situation. On a slightly better, more positive note, I suppose, Miles Hippolyte is in full training and not too far away, in Dave Challoner's words. Macaulay Salvin-Hales and Anthony Sarcevic back on the grass. Will Collar too, but no high-speed running just yet for Will Collar. Dave Challoner says Stockport County starting to see some green shoots and obviously have the transfer window too. So that's a positive. We've got obviously the likes of Sarcevic, Collar, Salvin-Hales coming back soon. Of course, Hippolyte as well. It feels like he's been out all season, really. I think he did make a bit of a comeback and then, of course, got injured again. It might have been the Wrexham game. I can't remember. Sometime around that period of time, he got injured and obviously not been able to play again since. So these players have been massive for us. We've obviously missed them a lot, so it's good. It's a positive that we're hopefully going to have them back over the next few weeks. But do we have enough going into tomorrow to get a result? I'd like to think so, but as I say, he says we'll have a lot of young players on the bench tomorrow. Obviously, still quite a lot of players who aren't quite available yet. So, but at home, top of the table, we should still have enough about us. Obviously, Odin Bailey, I'm not sure. Is he got a knock at the moment, or is he available to play for us tomorrow? I'm not so sure, so maybe someone can answer that one for me in the comments. Of course, don't forget to put your thoughts in the comments as well, as always, on this channel. That's what we want. We want opinion. It's what it's all about. And of course, I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow because it feels like I say it's been 2 weeks since we last had a game. Of course, disappointing result on New Year's Day against Mansfield, but I kind of want to move past that now, and I think it's a good opportunity tomorrow to try and get a win on the board at Edgeley Park and to sort of get back into some form of momentum again, because I think that's what we're going to need. Teams at the top of the table are going to be signing players in January. They're going to be making a lot of progress, and we have to try and make sure we do the same. So in terms of tomorrow, I'm positive we'll get a result. I'm excited for the game. Hopefully it's a good one, hopefully good performance as well. And more importantly, as I always say, good performances are brilliant, but more importantly than that, 3 points on the board. We want to try and get some momentum going. We want to try and retain that position at top of the table, and hopefully we can do that. Before we end the video, we're just going to talk about another comment. Dave Chandler has spoken about Connor Lemonhague Evans, who of course has been on loan at AFC Wimbledon for the first half of the season. He's come back from AFC Wimbledon to Stockport County, and of course Joe Lewis has made a permanent move to AFC Wimbledon, so he's moved on. But Lemonhague Evans has come back to County. Dave Chandler says really honest talks with Connor Lemonhague Evans after AFC Wimbledon's spell. Haven't seen the best of him at Stockport County yet, but Dave Chandler feels he can have a big impact for County if the situation changes. Lemonhague Evans unlikely to feature. Could look at it again in the next few weeks. So I think that might mean he might potentially move on if he doesn't start to get more minutes over the next few weeks. I want to get people's thoughts on this. Do you think he should move on a loan or a permanent, or do you think he's got a part to play in Stockport County's title race at the end of the season? I want to get people's thoughts. How excited are you to hear that we're going to have players back from injury over the next few weeks as well? And as always as well, I want to get people's thoughts. Transfer window open. What kind of a player do you think Stockport County should be looking at? And is there anyone in anyone's mind who you'd like to see come in over the next few weeks? Maybe even some players you'd like to see leave Edgeley Park in the next few weeks. I want to get people's thoughts on transfers, ins and outs, of course, the game tomorrow, and your opinion on Dave Chandler. Is he making excuses about the injury situation, or is he simply just stating facts, the fact that at the moment we are very, very low on squad depth? I want to get everyone's thoughts in the comments on Stockport County, as I say, score predictions, transfers, ins and outs, Dave Chandler's comments ahead of the game tomorrow. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe as well, and as always, thanks for tuning in.